When I was in my early 20s and at the peak of my fanatism for climbing, I read of a talk John Gill, the father of modern bouldering, gave in the UK when he was around 50 years old. Almost all external factors in bouldering are very different nowadays, but the individual experience is very similar, as we see. Amazing how much fun bouldering is even when an entirely different motivation compared to 30 years ago. I must admit that I only read the piece because it was by John Gill, and I don't remember that I was very impressed by it. But it made me wonder how I would look at climbing. Should I still be alive in 3 decades from now? I wondered if I would even care to reflect on what climbing is to me. And here we are, more than 3 decades later, and that's exactly what I'm doing in this clip. When I started climbing more than 3 decades ago, aesthetics were a huge part of my motivation. And I just love this Henry Moore, this organic shape, rocks here in Joshua Tree. When I first saw pictures of the climbing here, I knew this is something I want to do. Just love the desert, the quietness. It's really a unique way of quietness. It's really mesmerizing. Okay. 82. This cliff supposedly hosted the hardest route in the world, baby apes. And it wasn't the hardest route by any means. That title goes to Grand Illusion by Tony Yaniro, but still it's amazing that, or surprising, that I never really exceeded in my climbing. I never really exceeded the grade that was established when I started climbing, and basically my goal at this time. It's almost like a self-limiting prophecy or a self-limiting concept. And while I did baby apes, I haven't climbed anything rated harder than Grand Illusion. In 82, this cliff, periodic crack, was like almost mythical. And looking at it right now, it's nice, the climbing is nice, but it's also not super impressive by nowadays standards. I'm having as much fun as I ever had climbing, so that's just fantastic. Regardless in what shape you are, there's always something to do in climbing for you. It's a true lifelong commitment. But where is the white Rastafarian? Always looking for rocks. Story of my life. I played lots of sports in my life, but I tend to prefer the ones where you have a distinct problem or puzzle to solve to those that don't seem to provide context to me. Like for example yoga. I like what yoga does to me, but I'm not immensely enjoying doing it.
There is an old Zen story about a king whose people had grown soft and entitled. He decides to teach them a lesson and places a large boulder in the middle of the main road, completely blocking entry into the city. With growing disappointment, the king watches as subject after subject comes to the impudent, complains and bemoans the inconvenience, but none managed to do anything about it. After several days, a lone peasant comes along in his way into town. He does not turn away, but uses a large branch he has crafted into a lever to dislodge the massive rock from the road. Beneath the rock he finds a purse of gold coins and a note from the king which says, "The obstacle in the path becomes the path to improve your condition." In my mind, I am this peasant. While I'm unfortunately a lot less cool about obstacles like, say, doing my taxes, all my life I regarded physical obstacles as opportunities to test myself and to try out new things. The obstacle is the way. Bouldering developed rapidly over the last years, and as every older person, I'm stunned by the acrobatic level of bouldering nowadays. Even more than 30 years ago, well before the advent of modern bouldering gyms, John Gill noted, and I quote, "Children will always have a distinct advantage in making many rock gymnastic moves. In addition to the elfin lightness of youth, children have lymphatic systems that are superior to those of adults, allowing more continuous time on the rock surface before burning out. Tiny fingers make minute handholds seem large." I feel very fortunate to witness the younger generation's abilities and skills firsthand, and to accompany some of the best young climbers as a coach. The athletes I coach are often the same age that I was when I read the John Gill piece. Of course, I'm a bit jealous of the modern boulder gyms, in which the young generation can practice their fantastic acrobatic skills, and wish I would have those to my disposal when I was their age. At the same time, I get enormous motivation and inspiration from this collaboration. When exercising with athletes, I'm reminded of the effects of aging. John Gill noted, if achieving an exclusionary level of difficulty is the sole criterion for success in bouldering, as it seems to be in a large part of formal gymnastics, then, at some point in the future, participation beyond the age of 30 might seem futile. Not a good thing. But the climbing tent is huge and much more varied than the gymnastic arena. Stop bouldering? No! Not while the mind is still young, not if the soul still seeks adventure and challenge and play. I feel very fortunate that for me, the journey of bouldering goes beyond a brilliant flash of spectacle and show and became a lifelong pursuit of improvement that doesn't need to end once the body begins to show signs of age. Talking of adventure and exploration, I feel that there was more of that in early bouldering than the rather formal setting nowadays. Given the choice, young Udo probably still would choose hard landings without crash pads, getting lost in Fontainebleau every time, and having to figure out every problem by myself instead of the modern comfort bouldering. Climb quite simply because I enjoy it and I want to be stretched and to be totally involved. The meaning of bouldering is a function of commitment and can never be adequately articulated. Intensity, total involvement, and challenge premised on difficulty are parts of my personal equation, as is exploration, movement, meditation, and flow when climbing easy terrain. Bouldering is exciting and enormously energizing, and it compels me to the best I can be, regardless of numbers or letters or what others are capable of. I'm so happy to have found bouldering almost 4 decades ago and hope to be able to play on the boulders for at least the next 4 decades.